Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today, we're going to take a little bit of a detour off our path. Instead of talking about spells and reviewing classes and things, we are going to talk about the new announcement that came out. This is on Polygon, and it was an announcement at the Game Awards this year of a new D&D game coming out called Warlock. So they announced it. They showed the trailer. We're going to look at the trailer a little bit. I have to have the sound turned off on the trailer because the trailer does have a tool sound in the back, so I don't want to get a copyright infringement from YouTube on there. But let's look at this article. It is coming out of a new studio called Invoke Studios that is property of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. So they have acquired a couple of different game studios in the last year, and they are going to start churning games out now. So the game is called Warlock, and it says here, can they have the same success that they had with Baldur's Gate? Well, Larian Studios was not owned by Wizards of the Coast. They were their own game studio. And so Baldur's Gate was a licensed property. It was not wholly owned by Wizards of the Coast. So that's different, and Larian had kind of a pretty good track record when it came to games. So it says the stage appears set for a wave of new games that depart from the obvious turn-based role-playing formula. Wizards announced a new game from Jedi Survivor director Stig Asmussen earlier this summer, and now there's Warlock from the in-house Invoke Studios. There it is. The Game Awards trailer introduces Katri, played by Battlestar Galacta's Tricia Helfer, an original character and ex-weapons master who unlocked supernatural power. So it looks like this is almost going to be a clone of like The Witcher, to me. Just saying, you're only going to be able to play a Warlock, and you're only going to be able to play, I think, Katri, maybe. They're kind of short on details for a lot of this stuff. They didn't really talk about what the game is about. They said they sat down with Jeff Haddam, VP of Creative at Invoke. And remember, Invoke is owned by Wizards of the Coast. So he is essentially a vice president at Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. So Invoke Studios itself is relatively new, but far from inexperienced. The Montreal-based developer is built from the team formerly known as Two Kurtuk Games, founded in 2012 and acquired by Wizards of the Coast as part of the publisher's growing investment in AAA game development. So this is a new... I know Wizards of the Coast has tried this before, and they have been very unsuccessful at it with video games and with trying to open their own studios. So hopefully this is going to be a little bit different. But it says the studio has grown to roughly 180 people. So it sounds like they bought a probably cheap studio or AAA game development. Maybe it wasn't AAA game development at the time, and they've hired some people, and they brought them on to develop a game or games. So the game itself, it sounds like the previous project's 2021 Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, which Dark Alliance died, was pitched as a spiritual successor to early 2000s Baldur's Gate, but it ultimately shared little DNA with its predecessors, and players found its ambition stretching further than its execution. So Warlock, Haddam emphasizes a much sharper focus from both gameplay and story, instead of invoking the sprawling improvisational freedom of a TTRPG. Invoke is honing in on a single class fantasy and a brand new character. Again, it's got this, when you're talking about a class and a character, it has this Witcher feel. So, we've done that before, been there, done that. Not sure how well that's going to go down. So why the Warlock? Because they probably did a Google search, and Warlock is the most popular player class. Although very few people go straight Warlock. So, yeah, it looks like there's a new game coming out. They talk about the spells. They talk about everything. What's in the trailer. Most importantly here is this. Warlock is currently in development for PCs, PlayStation 5, and Xbox. So they have some kind of distribution deal with a bunch of different companies. Now let's take a look at the Invoke Studios website. So I went here. This is invokestudios.com. And here it is right here. It's got a cool, like, mini shadow dragon graphic. It's a close-knit team making high-quality games for millions of fans around the world to enjoy, but they haven't made a single game yet. And then we've got Join the Party. They've got some kind of D&D art here. Careers. They're hiring, apparently. There's the Wizards of the Coast logo here because they are a Wizards of the Coast owned entity. Here's their game. We're going to go to that website and we're going to look at the trailer with the sound off, of course. And it says, inspired by Dungeons & Dragons. Here's the Warlock Dungeons & Dragons symbol. That's there. It's a third-person action adventure set in a dark open world. Okay. And it says, enter a new realm, careers. Again, they have another link for careers here, which means they really are trying to hire people. There is a video here. I'm not going to play it, but it looks very much a lot of this, or probably I would say at least half of this looks AI generated. Not a good look. Here's a look at their studios. Not sure how much of that is AI generated or not. And then Bring Your Own Magic. Again, careers. Link to careers. They're really opportunities, more careers, more jobs. They're really trying to hire somebody. And this is how you get in touch with them. All right, that's enough yammering. Let's look at the trailer. So here is the Warlock website itself. You can go in here, you can subscribe, you can look at the trailer. The trailer here is here on YouTube. That's what we're going to look at. And you can sign up to receive updates on Warlock. And I agree to the terms and conditions. Yes, I'd like to receive the Warlock updates, video game news, surveys, and other Dungeons & Dragons game updates. I would be interested to see how often they update this. Warlock, Wizards of the Coast, Invoke. So let's get into this right here. And, I mean, this is typical Unreal Engine graphics. So we've got, like, ghosty things going into a cathedral. We've got an altar. It's got some stuff on it. An eye. It's designing and drawing arcane symbols. There's a cauldron on the altar. And then here we have our character. So it looks like she's taking on the abilities of a warlock. She's making her pact here. She is invoking a blade, so I'm going to guess she's a hex blade because she just made something. There's some feathers here. I don't know if that's invoking the Raven Queen or not. We'll have to see. There's a Raven dude, and it's going to show her fighting some pretty cool stuff. But again, this is probably not part of the game. This is not gameplay. There's like a vampire and a skeleton, and that looks like Evar's Black Tentacles, and then maybe an Eldritch Blast, and a Death Kiss, and then there she is. There's her Hexblade, and that is pretty much it. And it's going to tell us gameplay. Let's go back a little bit here. So gameplay reveal summer 2026. So that means we've got a good 9 months before we see some gameplay come out of this, which means they are still developing all of that. So they made this cool, like, trailer with some computer graphics in it, but none of it is actual gameplay. And then it says launch 2027, but it doesn't say when. So, you know, they typically say that kind of thing when they don't know when a game is going to come out. All right. That is the video I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.